Have you ever felt completely disconnected, deeply wounded by people, having to face being in the midst of your enemies? Psalm 23, which is usually a psalm used at memorial services for the promise of the life everlasting, also has a lot of other details to teach us. Right now, I won't tell you the story, but I am keenly aware of what it means to feel deeply cut off from people around things that are preventably problematic. It was this challenge that I'm facing right now, not with Gwen, everything's great with her, don't worry. Wherein I discovered that sometimes it's really hard to want to stay in the path of love, in the path of compassion, and the path of staying connected to people. And there's also moments where you know that in order to actually be able to live into a life of love and compassion, cutting ties with people who refuse to meet you is a necessary step. Have you ever felt that way before? It's really heartbreaking, especially when you know that the other person's acting from a place that makes good sense, but you don't hold their viewpoint. You can't hold their viewpoint. What do you do when you've pledged your life to following the God of love, when it feels like you're at an impasse with someone that you're supposed to be connected with, that you continue to extend an olive branch to and get it thrown back in your face as though you're doing something wrong? That's where Psalm 23 is so immensely powerful. God is my shepherd. I have everything I need. I shall not want. I shall not be in want. Sit with that feeling for a minute. Think of that pain that those of you who have nodded your heads felt. What is it like to think about being beside a gentle brook with God, reminding us that God provides everything we need? How hard is it to accept that? How hard is it to feel the reminder that God is with us no matter what, when it feels like things are terrible? That's the gift of this passage. And another thing that I find powerful with this passage is the original language of, "He has set a table for me in the presence of my enemies," which reminds me that even those with whom I have to break relationship, even those that consider me their enemies, or I struggle not to consider my enemies, God's got a table right there. God invites us to that table to nourish ourselves in the presence of God, in the midst of that pain, in the midst of that challenge, in the midst of that anger, to remember that there is more to life than that pain and that broken relationship and that heartache. That's another reason why I took the lead from Bobby McFerrin and only in the psalm changed the gender of God. Now, granted, in the Eucharistic prayer today, we're going to use mother language for God in honor of Mother's Day, so we can remember that God is both father and mother to us all. Think about the idea of Mama God sitting you down by the river, reminding you that you are hers. You are her beloved. Moms, what would that feel like for you to be the mother that sits your kid down by the river when they're sad and show them that they are beloved? I'm sure you've done similar things. My mom has done that for me. It's good to remember that for all the pomp and circumstance of our scriptures, for God being the patriarch, the shepherd, and I love that mental image that the king, the shepherd was a moniker for kings in the ancient world. God our king or queen, the immense power of all that is in the world, takes us in the midst of our pain and suffering, leads us down by the water, and gives us everything we need. My hunch is that this psalm was written during the exile in Babylon. Imagine what that must be like for someone in that sort of suffering, pain, uncertainty, sense of homelessness, sense of abandonment, to remember that God is there in the midst of all that would crush them, squelch them, take them out of the world, take away their life, their meaning, their love, their family. It says, I got you. I will feed you. I will nourish you. I will love you. And I will be with you always. It's hard to remember that. Man, is it a wonderful thing to be reminded of that. Also to feel that twinge of, I don't want to be that way. I want to be mad. I want to be angry. I want to just burn it all down. I'm so tired of this crap. And Mama God saying, honey, there's more to it than that. Always more to it than that. It doesn't mean that those people, that whatever people have done to hurt you lets them off the hook. But it's the reminder that God is underneath all of it. God is above all of it. And she wraps her loving arms around us and leads us into that life of love. Love of God, love of neighbor, and of self. Wherever and in whatever case we may find ourselves at odds with the world, at odds with family, friends, neighbors, God reminds us that we are to get our nourishment from her, from the still waters from which life comes, with the breath of God blowing the gentle breeze, or in today's case, not so gentle breeze outside, reminding us that her breath is what gives us life and nothing else. No one can give it. No one can take it. God alone gives us this life, this love, this dignity, this peace in the midst of turmoil, of pain. And that love is the greatest force in the world. Thanks be to God, we get to rest in that every time we come in these doors. So in the midst of the challenges of life, may we remember that we can step back, allow ourselves to recognize that metaphorically we are by the still waters, and God has her arms around us and holds us close, nourishes us, and says, you are my beloved, and I love you as you are.